Welcome back to the puzzle grind, mate. Nice work getting away from the doom scrolling. We're still working through the Laszlo Polgar chess book, the best 802 puzzles for spaced repetition that are found in the book. The puzzles today start out a little bit on the easier side, but they get quite challenging and very instructive. You will want to stick around towards the end of this one because there's one puzzle that I think will change the way you think about chess if you haven't seen it before. It's a beautiful tactic. I've got a bit of a thank you to say as well. Something massive happened recently on the channel. But we'll get into a few puzzles first before I get into it. Starting out at 613, your time starts now. Pretty easy this one. You notice that you've got your rooks here on the open file. You're going to go in and try and checkmate. So you just need to get rid of the bishop with check. Bishop takes, for example, and then we come in with the back rank mate. Or if the king runs, we're just going to do a back rank mate anyway. 614. Another bit of a warm-up puzzle, we have queen sacrifice at the back rank, rook takes, and we follow up with the rook for checkmate. Before I solve this one, now that I've played 2 easy puzzles and I've gotten rid of majority of people who don't care about the channel, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone. I got a bit emotional yesterday. We've hit the year mark on the channel, and to be honest, nothing remarkable had happened until yesterday. It was very steady, slow growth, nothing to write home about. But yesterday was the first time I was like, this can actually go somewhere. I can do something with this. This could be more than just a hobby. For whatever reason, the video from last week and the puzzle series here went viral in terms of my channel. It went viral. My biggest video in the last year for long form, shorts do better, but they don't mean anything, was 1.3 thousand views. And I think I got like 5 subs, maybe a bit less on that. The video last week, just doing puzzles, educational content, nothing viral, nothing dramatic, nothing brain rot, has over 2,500 views now, and I got over 30 subscribers. Just good knowing there's some hope out there, so please keep supporting this kind of content. And I do genuinely believe, usually I'm not very confident in a lot of things that I do, definitely have a bit of imposter syndrome. But this series, I believe when I've completed it, which will have over 54 videos, it'll be a well over 1 year project, could be one of the best spaced repetition puzzle solving series on the internet. That's the goal. That's what I want to make. So far, the views have been between 200 and 400, and I was happy with that. But it's just amazing to see that maybe some of these videos could even get into the thousands of views. The channel may even get monetized. But yeah, according to my analytics, majority of people have already clicked off this kind of video because they don't actually want to put the work in. So if you're here, it means you put the work in, you support me, you watch the video to the end usually, or at least most of it, till your head hurts. So you're the person that's really driving this viral video I just got. I want to be able to do content that I enjoy that will help people improve. I don't want to do all the viral trends. I've already figured out what all the viral trends are. One of them being like cheating in chess. I've just got no interest because that just encourages cheating. If you cover cheating all the time, everyone thinks people are cheating. People are more likely to cheat themselves. So I don't want to cover that, even though I know it does well. And everyone's milking it. They're milking it hard. Again, thank you very much. Let's get back. 615. This one's tricky. The way I found this is realizing the dark squares around the king and a bit of process of elimination. I realized I can give the check with the rook, leading the king down into the dark squares. And I can follow up with a queen either here or here. Doesn't look like it makes any sort of difference. So let's say queen c3. We give the check and we x-ray defend our rook on the dark squares. We've led them down, so they're covered here, and obviously the pawns are doing a good job over here. 616. Very close to a hookmate sort of theme here with the knight and the queen teaming up, catching the king, forcing the king to take the knight, going further into his back rank so we can follow up with the queen. 617. Puzzles are just getting more and more beautiful as we go. This one usually takes me a little bit. The main realization is that you don't actually need your queen to checkmate here, because the king is so restricted. The knight's defended here. So you need to give a check and take away the king's runaway square, which we've done this a lot with the knights before. So you want to put your knight here. Problem is the pawn's defending it. This is the checkmate defender. We need to remove the checkmate defender ahead of time with the queen. So we sacrifice the queen. If the king goes up, we obviously just checkmate like this with the queen. But if they take with the rook, then we've cleared this square for the knight. We've removed the mate defender, so we can jump in, give the check, and take away his runaway square. 618. We want to play bishop here for checkmate, defended by the rook. Problem is that the knight's going to take it. So we just get rid of the knight ahead of time. So queen takes knight. If the king takes, then we can just follow up with the rook, given the checkmate like this. If either of these pawns take, doesn't seem to matter which one, we can follow up with the checkmate with the bishop. 620. Our hookmate practice is coming in handy again. We want to use the coordination of our knight and rook like this to force a couple of things. That would be a hookmate, so either the king has to take or the knight takes. So if the knight takes, we've done a clear and sacrifice. This rook was in our way. We got rid of him with check. So now we can come in and we've done a checkmate like so, with the bishops doing their Bowden mate sort of thing over here, with the knight checking and taking away the king's runaway square. Also, the king can run. So if the king takes the knight, we can slide over here with our rook, similar to an opera mate, but usually the king's like here somewhere. But we're using our coordination between our bishop and rook, given the checkmate here. 622. Just went through like checks, captures, attacks. So first off, checks. We got to check here, check here, check here, check, check. A few checks, right? check, check, a lot of checks. So I went with what I like best. I like this check to begin with because after the queen blocks in a game, this would be winning. So my pattern recognition went towards that because you've got rook, king takes, you and a queen. But of course, we're not playing a game here. We're trying to get checkmate in 2. We're trying to be accurate. So that doesn't work. Then I tried queen check here because after the pawn takes, rook takes, looks like we're making progress, but the king can escape. So I just did that in reverse because you need to take away the runaway square here. So I play rook down, and you'll see that the king is completely restricted here. So the pawn must take. That is forced. So it's easy to calculate. Then you can come on in with the queen delivering the checkmate here with the bishop's help. 623. We have a textbook clearance sacrifice here. We want to magically place our queen on this square that it's x-raying. The rook is in the way. We need to get rid of him with check. We play rook to e4. That would be checkmate, so the pawn has to take, and we can follow up with the queen for checkmate here. This is the puzzle at the beginning I said was beautiful and instructive, so take your time. It's not as simple as it looks. 624. Working through this one by one. This looks good because it'd be a ladder mate, but the bishop takes. Okay, so you try the other side. We have a ladder mate here. Problem is the rook blocks. So both the very simple ladder mate fails. How do we get creative here? What we can do is notice, okay, the rook and the bishop are stopping us. Can I put a piece that interferes with the vision of both of these pieces? And you can. So you can get away with knight to f3, interference. Very important tactic. The idea that if the rook takes, we've blocked the vision of the bishop, so we can play a ladder mate up here. Checkmate. If the bishop takes, we've interfered with the connection of the rook. That way we can actually play the other rook up for ladder mate here because the rook can no longer defend. Love that puzzle. 625. We're spoiled this episode, another beautiful tactic, and a checkmate pattern I don't think I've mentioned on the series before. The first tactic is we want to do a clearance sacrifice because we want our queen and helper mate here. Problem is in that position, imagine the rook isn't there, the king could run away. So we need to do a clearance sacrifice with a rook while plugging the hole in this square. So we move our rook clearance sacrifice to a6. This is what we call a kill box mate when the rook and the queen team up like this. So it forces them to take with the pawn. We've opened up the scope of the bishop by clearing the rook. We've plugged the hole so we can come on in with the queen for a queen and helper mate. 626. We have another cooked puzzle, meaning there's 2 correct answers. The one in the book, which I found a little bit easier to find, is we do a clearance sacrifice here. We get rid of this knight, clear it from this square. That would be checkmate, so they have to take. So the bishop can slide back and deliver the checkmate here. That's the one in the book. That seems pretty logical to me. Unless I'm mistaken, it looks like knight e6 here works as well, aiming for this square. Pawns are going this way and that way, so I cannot see how you stop the checkmate here on the next turn with the black pieces. There's no check on us, so it looks like that's a checkmate as well that I found. Awesome job if you made it this far. You're the rare 10% that can actually get through all these puzzles without getting distracted and going on to another simpler task. That's what's going to set you apart. That's why you're going to achieve your dreams and goals in chess, because you're putting in the work right now. Keep going on this series. I recommend this book to everyone. It is so good for your chess improvement, your calculation, and your checkmate patterns. See you next week.